for this team to, like we said last week, a great week for 9Z Globant. They had some great victories there. We got an interview with them to find out, like, they do have some inner workings. I believe, Rico, you've been the big one to point this out. You've got a lot of good players, but different personalities, different play styles on this team that sometimes can leave one or the other. Either the roam gets a little too ambitious when the rest of the team isn't ready, or just people just playing on different aspects and different personalities when it comes to this. Hopefully here, they've kind of begun to mesh that together, to synergize that together against a team like Alpha7, who I wanna say has had some very interesting drafts and things that they've been able to figure out. They've been one of the funner teams that I've liked to watch, especially when it comes to them being able to counterpick.
Yeah, and I was checking here actually, because you said about like the last match from 9Z versus Black Sentence, but surprisingly, the Marcel, he was very good actually in Alberto Crazy's hand. You know, he won the game, and you were talking about like how he fixed in that composition, but especially for the disengage situation, you know, because we used to see Marcel like playing forward, aggressive, only especially playing with the second skill and this and his stacks of the buff, you know, like to get this crowd control. But we are not able to see this Marcel like aggressive one. But in the last game for versus Black Sentence, Alberto Crazy brought Marcel in the first game, and they were really, really good. Alberto Crazy always like getting a very well use of the golden hour to benefit the team, to benefit the execution. It was a very, very good thing to see.
Question: was he using it with the trio like everyone else, the Guinevere and Trisha, or he just brought his A game with the Marcel?
It's a completely different style. I remember it now that you're saying it. I remember it was mostly used to help secure a lot of escapes. If one of the teams got into a hairy situation, Golden Hour would come out, freeze the enemy out, help 9Z Globant create that distance to be able to get away. So it's two different kind of play styles, especially Alpha7, like he was talking about, the more ambitious. They're gonna send Marcel out to set up these ganks that they want. Whereas 9Z Globant, a little bit more passive. They played on the back foot. They allowed the enemy to come, try to maybe waste some abilities, and they were able to freeze them out. Another priority Boxia pickup here. This time though, 9Z Globant, so waiting to see what Alpha7 has to answer with. And if it's anything, they're gonna need to be very careful if this Boxy is gonna be played anything like what we saw from the last series.
They got the carry here with the Kalea here, but Sora's still open as well, so I wonder if they're gonna pick that up on this side of 9Z, but carry is that shredder that will take them out in the late game, but if she's handled in the beginning, then they're just gonna have a harder time, right?
Yeah, and I remember here, and for the last time that Alpha7 faced of 9Z Globant in AMER South, the first game, they brought Kalea in their composition, you know, and that was a victory for Alpha7. So maybe 9Z has a plan to deal with it, but we know how strong is that pick, how strong is the pick in Paquito's hand, as we seen him playing, as we know that he is aggressive one, he likes to go through, he likes to play forward, you know, so 9Z here has to take care about that.
One thing though, from this side, when you have Kalea on your team, you're looking for a little bit more burst damage to be able to kind of help gun down some of those heroes that you grab. Fortunately, early to mid game, carry is not that answer that you're looking for. She's gotten more sustained. This is what I'm looking for, something else to kind of help with a little bit more CC, a little bit more damage that can come out from Guinevere. The big thing though is how well are these compositions going to play against each other? You grab somebody with that Tsunami Slam, you're going to have Garakacha kind of gunning for that position. It's going to come in very hot with that with that avatar of the Guardian. So it's gonna be very interesting. Now going into that the banning phase right now, I think we're looking for maybe to ban out some of the mages on the side of Alpha7, and then what we're looking for 9Z Globant. We've already got our marksman out there, already got our roam and our jungler. So XP lane, maybe mid. I doubt both of these teams are probably gonna focus too much on the mids, or do we just go ham and just ban every single mid that we can think of so that nobody has anything left?
Right there. They're going with that.
What
one,
did you say?
Taking out all
What did you
those
say? What
mids.
did you say?
Yves, Lunux, Lilia, Zushin, bye. They're making sure no mid is available. But ZTN is out, right? They still have that option.
ZTN.
As well, Valentina.
Valentina, Kimi, it's another option here. Maybe not Lily anymore because she's banned here. But an interesting fact that the last game, Alpha7 brought Lunox for that composition. So ZTN here is out once again for Alpha7. Let's see. Well, please don't tell me Valentina. Please, Dynasty, don't ban Valentina. Come on, don't ban. Or Kimi to the mid lane, please.
It's very interesting that you talked about that too, because that was kind of what I was reading into here. If 9Z Globant decides to slot in the glue pickup, it's something that's familiar with this composition from Alpha7 to possibly use the Linux that they were able to last time they faced the glue. Kalia, as soon as the split came out from the glue, Kalia was right there, snatched up the glue, and then Linux would absolutely dominate him on the back line as well. Ooh, and there goes the glue pass up there as well. So Valentina still open up on the board. We still have the Kimi open for that mid lane as well. And there you go, Paquito or Alpha7 gonna go ahead and scoop up that Kimi pick.
Yeah, I think they're going to pick up the Valentina, most likely try to steal Kalia's ultimate to kind of help the team with more CC. I'm not really sure what other mages are available. I can't think of Valir, but then will that be helpful? They're too jumpy, very mobile. Really?
I believe that 9Z here, to avoid any kind of trouble, they are going to pick Valentina and Sora at the same time.
Yeah, it's a good thing. The only thing for me is that Boxia, Harith, Gatakacha, and
Fake it. Is that you? No, it's faking. Okay. With Valir,
Zeshi got a little bit of a makeup there, but no. This is 4 magic damage dealers on the side of 9Z Globant. So that'll be very interesting to see if that's not something Alpha7 can kind of work around. They do take a little bit of time to really kind of come into their own. I agree with you, Xena, though. When you're talking about a Valir pickup, this is kind of a mobile draft that you have coming out from Alpha7. So I wonder if the idea wasn't about being able to hit them as a Valir, but to be able to use that Vengeance Flame to get out of a possible pickoff from Kalea to helpfully get him down to that back line. And, ooh, here we go. Lapu Lapu pickup for the side of Alpha7.
Yeah.
All right.
So compositions here finished with both teams. Let's see what is going to happen. Kimi versus Valir in the mid lane here is going to be a very interesting matchup here, especially from Valir that it depends of the skill shot especially. So let's say the fishing has the aiming, that he has a perfect aiming for using Valir here. Gusta with Harriet in 9Z's composition, so here comes with a very high magic damage. Luizinho to compensate here with Baxia. We have a Fulvius. So I think that the idea for 9Z, it is to roaming so fast to the objectives when you have Fulvius and Baxia. You know, so Fulvius is a very strong even in the early games here. So the idea, and at least in my point of view here, it is to trying to guarantee these first objectives, especially the turtle ones, to get to to play as even as Alpha7 as they like to play aggressive. So let's see what is going to happen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be stepping back into the land of Dawn for our second series of the night, featuring Alpha7 taking on 9Z Globant. This one, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a best of 3.
Yes, a best of 3. Here is the second match of the day. Welcome to the Land of Dawn. 9Z Globant versus Alpha7. Alpha7, 2 victories, 1 loss. 9Z Globant, 1 victory, 2 loss. So let's see what is going to happen. Let's go, my friend.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this Valier can be played into it. The most obvious targets will be Flick when he goes in for the Violent Requiem, or Hesu when he comes in. Another pop-up, actually 2 pop-ups land there onto 9Z Globant, and you can see already healing coming out from Malboro Crazy. But as I was saying, the 2 main targets for Valier to be able to hit in my head are the Guinevere when they jump on somebody, or it's going to be the who was the I believe it was the mage for the side of Alpha7. All I know is that the Violet, not the Kimmy, not who's the jungler then? Oh my god,
the jungler is Flick.
On what?
So what hero? What hero was it again that he chose?
Was Guinevere?
There's
Baxia. The 9Z
Baxia was 1. Okay. Yeah. And then what was the other one?
Yeah.
So the big thing though is that the 2 main targets that are going to be that you could possibly try to use the Valier onto, they've got abilities that can stop them from being CC during their ultimates or during their abilities. The Violet Requiem, you're not going to be able to stun a Guinevere out of that, and by the time, especially if you're timing it after a jump, Valier is just not that fast. He's not going to be able to get that stun out as soon as that before that Violet Requiem comes out there as well. So it's going to be, I feel like the target selection for Valier, I feel like the only saving grace for Valier is the fact that he has the Vengeance Flame, that if you do snatch him up, if you do try to grab him, he can get away. And there's kind of a little bit of a scaling issue on 9Z Globant's part too as well, where a lot of that roster, a lot of those heroes are waiting for items, waiting to kind of get into that mid game.
I feel like a Valier's choice, I guess, from maybe their thought process was the fact that they want to try to slow down these movements, right? So, well, good luck on these matches.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But for me, I still think that for Guinevere here, you were seeing a Burrow Crazy like trying to cause trouble in the purple buff for Alpha7. But even though I'm thinking about like a Flick having some troubles trying to pop up versus Luizinho here in the Baxia, or Augusta Lagusta with Harriet that has a dash, so it's not a very high mobility composition from 9Z Globant, but Flick has to take care about like the targets that he can jump to guarantee a kill or some kind of advantage.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too. And now that I'm seeing the draft out here, Hesu was the second one I was thinking of. If you try to go ahead and get the stun or flames on a Hesu, he can just go use that ultimate and a bravest fighter stance and be able to get out of it. Turtle gonna be cleaned up. Luizinho gonna pick that up very easily for 9Z Globant. So there are weaknesses on both sides. Speaking of which, Hesu does go down there as well. Paquito on the back end might be taken out. Has to use the flicker at the last moment to get underneath his tower. Flick gonna be able to jump back to get to safety as well. First blood going to 9Z Globant.
Yeah, there's a power trinity here that I was talking about, like when you have the Getoch Kaka, when you have the Luizinho playing with Baxia and Fovius, these objectives, at least in the early game, are very strong for 9Z Globant. First blood for 9Z Globant in Chino's hand. That is a very interesting start from 9Z Globant.
Yeah, I do kind of like 9Z Globant when you figure out that there's not great targets for Alpha7 either. Flick's gonna have, ooh, Avatar the Guardian comes out. Paquito gets caught there, is taunted down as well. And a tsunami slam, but Alberto Crazy comes in, finishes the job. That's gonna be 2-0 lead for 9Z Globant. But as I was saying, the targets, and right there, perfect example. We don't have great targets to be able to latch on to 9Z Globant. Other than Fashion, who you're not gonna be able to grab because of Vengeance Flame. Everybody else is going to be dashing around or too tanky for you to really want to grab onto, want to jump onto if you're Flick on this Guinevere as well. So I feel like both of these teams are trying to push compositions and winning scenarios that aren't realistic for the enemy team either. So it's going to be an interesting game as we continue on here. But right now, 9Z Globant with a firm lead of 2-0.
Yes, and I agree with you. There was a very clever play, but now in the mid lane here, we're seeing some troubles. We're seeing some fights, because when Flick tried to jump over a Fashion, he used the Flame of Vengeance, and so he escaped. Oops!
Oh, wow, I just saw 3 men get popped up over there. Alpha7 in trouble. Chino finds a kill on the Flick. Now trying to turn it around. Fashion takes down Paquito. Hesu in trouble. The damage ticks down onto him. That is 3 members down for Alpha7. 9Z Globant opening up at the 5-minute mark with 5 unanswered kills and 2 turtles.
It's burning! It's burning, Private! It burns to the death here for guarantee 1 more kill for 9Z Globant. Another turret, another turtle, sorry. 2 turtles for 9Z Globant so far. Go lead, already heading for 3K for 9Z Globant. A very strong early game. Alpha7, what will you do in that situation?
Right now, this is a perfect start for 9Z Globant, because I feel like the longer this goes on, the stronger they get, especially with the matching. Avatar the Guardian comes out, Tsunami Slam does not protect them. 9Z Globant with another kill there. 3 kills for Fashion, 2 for Chino. 9Z Globant are on a roll right now.
You know what? Paquito knew that situation because he sent an emoji despite that situation. I think that he didn't know about the other 2 players from the follow-up, you know, but he knew that situation. I think that he could escape, he could play safe, but once again, 1 more kill for 9Z Globant, and now Goose! Oh my goodness!
Oh, Gusta La Gusta making short work of Upatizi up at the top lane. And I feel like Alpha7, they just are completely unprepared. Hatsu gets trapped by 2 members. He is not making his way out of this fight. Unfortunate for Alpha7. Flick not able to get down there fast enough. It is already a 4K gold lead at the 6-minute mark for 9Z Globant. And I want to say I am absolutely baffled and surprised, pleasantly surprised to see Alpha7, who I thought was going to have an easy time with this game, now struggling. This is telling you how much the growth has happened from 9Z Globant. That game yesterday was nothing compared to the domination, the surprise we're seeing. 9Z Globant very secure. Next turtle going to be picked up here for them. Alpha7 not even in a position to contest.
I agree with you here, my friend Private, because when we see the historical for the 2 teams, Alpha7 with 2 teams versus only 1 for 9Z Globant, and we can still talk about 9Z Globant situation, that so many players, so many good players, but with a very strong personalities, but now they're playing together. Their synergy, at least in the first game, are almost perfect. And plus, Alpha7 is completely lost here, Private Dancer. Something is happening to Alpha7 today.
Yeah, and maybe this is just what we were talking about and what they talked about. They have new players that they were just trying, great players that have a long list of titles and history behind them in South America, in LATAM. they just needed to get that synergy. They just needed to get on the same page. Here, I don't know that you could be anymore on the same page. And an 8-0 lead before the 8-minute mark here. Alpha7, the only problem right now is I feel that you could count even as a possible negative is we are at 8-0. We've only got one tower, so it's not like 9Z Globant have been transitioning all of these kills and all of these fights into great objectives and pushing towers just yet. So we still have to wait for that mid game to come out to see if they've gotten enough of a lead to kind of really be a little bit more comfortable with themselves here. Another tower taken down. I believe that was the bottom tower taken down. So both side lanes taken down for Alpha7, who have yet to be able to find an answer for this 5K gold lead of 9Z Globant.
Yeah, and actually there's one more thing that we we can consider about here. Cabral. So last weekend, Gusta talked to us. They have the BL as a coach and Cabral now to the team, to the coaching staff, you know. And Cabral was the coach for Alpha7 from the last 2 seasons. So Cabral knows the team very well because so far only Paquito wasn't in this lineup. But Hatsu, Flake, Upatizi, Frost, they were in this lineup before, so Cabral knows them very well. So maybe can be one of the reasons that 9Z is playing so well versus Alpha7 so far.
Yeah, and even when it comes to that turtle, allowing it out, they're forced, Alpha7's forced to kind of try to get these long-ranged pushes up at the top, but immediately, especially when it comes into expanding rivers, you see how fast Chino was able to get to the top lane all the way from the bottom. Ooh, nice little Violet Requiem comes in, traps him underneath the tower. Flick able to find a kill onto Alburo Crazy. The Mountain Shocker does not land for Hetsu on the back end. Luisino comes in, might have bit off a little more than he can chew, but look at how tanky he is. The rest of Alpha7 has to run away with half health while Luisino able to take out the Alpha7 jungle.
Luizinho, this is so unfair. What is Boxy about? Oh, one more jump!
Oh, wow! You would have thought that it was Luisino was the one who jumped on the Flick. Flick jumped in on and immediately took 90% of her health as damage. What a great surrounding from 9Z Globant, immediately collapsing around their jungler to be able to punish Alpha7 even when they have a great gank. No, Hetsu in the wrong side of his tower gets taken out, bringing us to a 9-1 game.
Hetsu completely lost, not in the jungle, but in the bottom lane here. Guarantee one more kill for 9Z Globant. Private, we are talking about 9-1 to 9Z Globant so far. Gold lead. Oh my god, my math now it's not so clear, but it's almost like, okay, 5 plus 3, 8k for 9Z Globant. But they have to take care because Alpha7 is very strong. They have resilience, so they can have back in the game. So 9Z Globant has to take care.
Yeah, we do. I mean, the saving grace on the side of 9Z Globant, I feel like Phobius begins to fall off a bit there. Luisino will become a little less, you're going to start having your items. You'll be able to maybe burst down. But, I mean, look at here. Immediately, the Alpha7 has to disengage from this as 9Z Globant basically own Alpha7's jungle right now. We're at the 12-minute mark right now. Sans any huge mistakes, I feel like Alpha7 are going to have a very rough time trying to find the advantage, trying to find the pickoffs that they need. I haven't seen one successful Tsunami Slam, I feel like, come out from Alpha7 just yet. And I feel like that's one of their big marks here. That's one of the big things that they're really leaning on. Also, I mean, hoping for Upatizi to really get farmed up onto this carry. But I mean, carry's one of those too. When you're behind, you're not just waiting for the Trinity, you're also waiting for that Malefic gun so you can get the range, so you can be safe while you're dishing out all of this damage.
Yeah, and now meanwhile, Alberto Crazy gets an immortality here for buying much more time for a 9Z Globant in a possible future team fight. So it's another leverage for a 9Z Globant who guarantees another Lord here. Almost a 13-minute. Maybe can beat the Lord to finish the game, but they have to pay attention because they have a carry on the other side who has a very strong late game, especially with the true damage that can melt down the tanks like a Boro Crazy with Gatochkaka and Luizinho with Baxia.
Yeah, they're just doing such a great job. Taking a look at 2,600 gold for Gusta Lagusta on this Harith right now. The only thing, he's even got the concentrated energy too, so he's going to be able to get a ton of health back. He doesn't even need penetration just yet because Alpha7 haven't even gotten to the point of picking up magic defense for him. Now we have the Lord coming in at mid. Ooh, catches two members with that ultimate from Frostlane Eve. Big damage going on to that mid lane tower as well. All lanes starting to crash in. As you see, Hasuka to go down to bottom, splitting up their priority. Big defense here coming for Alpha7. They are able to protect their high ground towers, but it's only a matter of time right now at the 14-minute mark. Ooh, incoming. Zaman Force has been laid down. Hesu takes a heat of damage. You can see the rest. Gusta Lagusta coming in, trying to rain damage onto that high ground tower. Unfortunately, not able to find it. Mixture of the Avatar, the Guardian comes in. Violet Requiem is out, bouncing down the damage onto Alpha7. Luisino goes down. Alpha7 trying to turn this around. Boro Crazy in a little bit of trouble here, looking for the opportunity. Great comeback here, at least for Alpha7. Make sure to point out that 9Z Globant overstayed their welcome and now a player down and have to retreat.
The response for Alpha7 was so fast because by the time that they saw the initiation for 9Z Globant, Tsunami Slam hit the players, hit the target, guarantee the kills for Alpha7. They are able to defend the base, but first, the turret in the top side already taken down. In the mid lane, you see, there's no HP ever in that turret. So more advantage for 9Z Globant that they now are they want to wait another Lord to secure the victory, to turn things easier so far.
Yeah, and the thing too is on the side of 9Z Globant, they already have the protection that they want against the carry, against the Kimmy. They've already got, I think I saw 3 Radiant Armors coming out from them, 3 Chastised Pauldrons coming out from them already. So they're already planning for this late game where Frostlane Eve will start coming online, where Upatizi will start coming online, and they're doing a great job of prepping for it too, because I mean, you're gonna really slow it down. Even with that little kill that Alpha7 was able to get back, just Frostlane Eve was just never really able to take off because Radiant Armor, they're all doing like the max defense that they can get. You see here, Tsunami Slam actually comes out, big jump comes out as well, and we do have a Winter Crown out for Chino, coming back with the demonic forces on the backside, finds a kill on the flick. Zaman Force laid down Alpha7, running for the hills, trying to find themselves an escape, but onto the back line. Chino diving deep with that demonic force, finally taken down by Frostlane Eve, while Gusta Lagusta finds himself another tower. This is going to be a clean Lord pickup for 9Z Globant.
Take my energy, Chino. Take my money. Take my everything here. What a great play for Chino here. Guaranteed the advantage for 9Z Globant. But the idea for Alpha7, especially with the Tsunami Slam, the idea was good, but maybe the target wasn't so good here. Boro Crazy, you want to use the ultimate versus Boro Crazy versus a Gatochkaka that he can buy so much time for 9Z Globant, and that's what happened. They were not able to kill Boro Crazy. That bought so much time for 9Z to respond so well, guarantee 2 more kills, the advantage to secure the Lord, and now they're heading to the possibly final game.
Man, I mean, you're looking at this, the gold leads firmly, almost a 3K gold lead there for Gusta Lagusta, has the penetration that he needs, almost a 10K gold lead overall, 12-3. Alpha7 found themselves on the wrong side of an angry 9Z Globant, now charging in through mid lane. Minions at the bottom lane as well. Lord starting to hit down onto the tower. Hatsu in the back line taking a heap of damage from Chino. He's going to use the Winter Crown. Is that going to be enough? Flick going to dash himself to safety. The rest of damage onto the core. That is a dominant victory for 9Z Globant.
Dominant victory here for 9Z Globant in the first game in the best of 3. What a surprise, Zena.
That is a surprise. 9Z brought their A game this time around. They did not like that sweep from the first set of matches that they had gone through before with them, and they were able to recover this time around. I think they weren't able to. Alpha7 was not able. They weren't prepared. They weren't prepared for this. I think they expected them not to be so dominating this time around.
I don't know if they woke up, they're eating their Wheaties, what they had for breakfast, what they're wearing, but continue to do that. Don't change a thing. Whatever this is a completely different team than we saw from that first round coming out from Alpha7 taking on 9Z Globant, where 9Z was swept. This was a dominant game by 9Z Globant. This was a synergy that you saw from them. I mean, they had an answer for everything here. Even like we said, I thought maybe it would be a little tough for Fashion on this Valier. Where were his targets? But if you turn it around on Alpha7, where were their targets? Who were they going to be able to get with the Violet Requiem? Who were they going to be able to get with the Tsunami Slam? And then you're kind of getting into a point where you're really depending on the late game of Frostlane Eam, really depending on that late game of Upatizi. And I want to say by the 7-minute mark, you already had full Radiant armors on 3 members of 9Z Globant.
Yeah, they're really prepared here for Alpha7's idea and composition. But once again, as you well said, the targets for Flick here using Guinevere were not that easy, because you had Gusta Lagusta playing with Harriet. Okay, he has dash. You had Chino. He has the stacks from the ultimate here, especially to focus in the back line. You have Fashion that could use the Flames of Vengeance to respond back this initiation. So it was not that easy for Alpha7 with this idea using the Guinevere so far. Maybe if they proc, like for example a Suyo with a high burst damage from the jungler, that could work very differently. But in this game here, 9Z Globant knew what they were doing, knew what they had to do to guarantee the first victory so far.
Yeah, a great and dominant victory for them.
Yes, for sure. They were very victorious there. Valier, I just have to say, we were saying that Valier may not do much here, but look at this. But Valier went in ahead and took gave that additional CC and extra damage right there. But so here we go, right place, right time, every single moment. We have the Gusta Lagusta on that MVP with that Harith, 203 on that KDA, 47.6k total damage, 805 golds per minute. He was doing an amazing job as this gold laner here.
Yeah, Gusta Lagusta, gusta mucho of being MVP here for 9Z Globant. The man from 1-1, the man from Beatrix here, the gold laner for 9Z Globant, guarantee so far. Playing very well with his Harriet. Even though what we have a composition for 9Z Globant who didn't have this hard engage, who didn't have this hard initiation, we're only to have this follow up from damage. We were used to see Gusta always using the ultimate, using the dashes to cause damage, using the dash to farm and getting the items for 9